Hi, I'm Joe Stowe. Today I'd like to show you how to flare the ends of some metal tubing to fabricate your own brake lines. It's going to save you lots of money, especially if you have a project like my Project S10 here, where I have to fabricate every single brake line on the truck. Everything was rusted out. So I'm starting with rolls of steel brake line tubing here, and I just got the rolls from Napa. And so then I just cut it to length, and I use the old brake lines as matches, and then I just model after the old brake lines. So today I'm going to show you how to flare the ends of the tubing. See, there's nothing here, just normal metal that I cut off. Got my brake line fitting here, and put that on, and then we need to flare the end so that it looks something like that on the end, so that way it's a usable brake line and it's not going to leak. Okay, so there's a few tools that you're going to need to do this job. One is a vise. A good, strong, sturdy vise like this one will work the best and be the most stable. You're going to need a double flaring kit. What this is it has four basic pieces. You have the flaring bar, which is this piece here, the yoke, flaring yoke assembly, which is the yoke here, and has a handle. And then the most important part here is the die. Now in my case, I'm doing the 3/16 tubing, so I use a 3/16 die, and it looks like this. It has a little pin on it that's going to go down inside the tubing for the first stage of our bending. Then a couple other tools that you're going to need for this job are a reamer. This, I use this little reamer here to ream out the rough edges on the inside of the tubing. And then you're also going to need a little file, just like this one. This works well for me, and because we need to file the edges around to make it nice and smooth so nothing gets stuck and messes up your flare. Sometimes I just use PB Blaster. We need to lubricate the flare, and that helps you get a better quality flare. Okay, to get started, we're going to take our flaring bar and we're going to put it into the vise. Now make sure that you have the beveled edges up. If you can see the bevels in the holes there, make sure that they're facing upward. And just get that into your vise, nice and tight. Can't go too far in because you have to have enough room for this wing nut to turn. Then you're going to take your tubing that you want to bend. Now it's very important, don't forget this step, to put any fitting that you need to put on there, put it on the tubing before you start the flare process. Now this is 3/16 steel tubing, and I had just cut it, so you can see the end of it is looks a little rough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my reamer, and I'm just going to put my reamer in, and I'm just going to open up that hole a little bit and get the excess material that got pushed in there when I made. All I did was I just kind of opened it up a little bit, so you can see the hole's a little more open now, and it's got any debris out of there. So then I'm going to take my file, and I'm just going to lightly is the key word here. We don't want to bevel the edges. We just want to remove any material that's sticking out, any burrs that are sticking out from it. And make sure that it's smooth on the outside. It has to be smooth. Again, like any other job, preparation is the biggest part to getting a good flare. So after we have our 3/16 tube in the 3/16 slot on the flaring bar, then you're going to take your die, and you see how it has a couple of stepped edges on it. Kind of hard to see maybe in the light's not awesome here, but there's a lower edge, and then there's the big part. So it's kind of like, it looks like a hat. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take it with the pin sticking up in the air. You're going to lay it onto your flaring bar, and what you want to do is you're going to pull the tubing down. Whoops, too far. you're going to pull the tubing down until your tubing is the height of the hat part of your fitting. So the hat area, the flared area of the fitting, is the same height as my tubing. Okay, or vice versa. Actually, the tubing should be the same height as that flared area. I'm going to take the handle piece from my flaring yoke. I'm going to take that handle and I'm going to tighten down my flaring bar here. And you go a little bit at a time. And you're going to want to get it tight because you don't want this to slip. So you're not going to crush the tube. It will put a couple little marks in the tube, but you're not going to crush it. But you want it to be tight because if that tube slips, you're going to have a terrible flare and you're going to have to start over again. Okay. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my BB blaster here. And I just put a little bit of lubrication on it. And then you put your fitting with the pin down. Pin goes down. And then we're going to take our yoke. And you're going to have to take your yoke and slide it over the flaring bar. And then it's going to come up. And you want it to go down right over the die. And then all we're going to do is we're going to turn the yoke, and it's going to turn tough. We're going to keep turning that. We're going to go all the way down until it touches the flaring bar. You can turn it and see that die is going down. And go all the way down until it stops. Okay, and then back it off. Alright, so when you take your flaring yoke and take your die out, that's what it should look like. Let me get you a little closer to that. You see that? So the tubing is actually pushed in a little bit, as you can see. So that's the first part of the flare. And then we're going to push the rest of that tubing in and then make it go fit around the concave or the indents in the flaring bar here. Alright, so we're going to do the second half of this flare. And for that, we're just going to use I already have lube on it, and so we're just going to use the flaring bar itself now. And you're going to put the point of the flaring, the flaring yoke. And you're going to put the point of the yoke into the tubing and screw it down. And this is going to complete the flare. So you get it snug down, and then just take your handle, the yoke handle here, and go ahead and slowly turn that. Don't go in too much of a rush, and go ahead and push that down all the way, and you can see it there. You can kind of see it as it's going down into the indentation on the flaring bar. See, as it's just about level with the tips or the top of the flaring bar. I'm going to go a little further. Okay, and that's pretty much it stops because now it's at the limits of what the flaring bar is going to let you do. And then just unscrew your yoke. That's what a nice flare looks like. Can you see that? And all we got to do is loosen things up here on the flaring. Now hang on to your tubing so it doesn't fall out. And there's our flared tip, or flared tubing. There it is. And there it is, looks like from the side. You can see the bubble on it. And then our fitting, see how that just fits right up against it. And that's what's going to snug up against the other fitting. See that? And we're ready to go. Okay, so that's how to flare your brake lines and put your fittings on. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and the little bell. That way you'll be notified of when I come out with more videos. I'm going to be coming out with lots more S10 videos as I continue to work on my project S10 here. And also, if you have an S10 question, maybe I can answer it for you and give you a hand. Okay, so until the next one, take it easy.